Hi there, very good evening. Welcome back to the next part of your research, which is the research choices I'm going to discuss tonight. Welcome back. The topic tonight is going to be whether the research you're going to do is about the qualitative research or a quantitative research or combination of both. So let's have a look at the meaning of quality and the quantity first. Then after that, we would be discussing the rest of it. When I'm saying quality is something that you use to measure any variable, anything. Maybe you can use use quality or qualitative criterions to measure the love you have over your kids. You may be using this qualitative criterion to measure the quality of food you eat. The qualitative criterion you may use to measure the health of your body, quality of your body, quality of your blood, quality of your thinking, quality of your love, quality of your food, quality of your exercise, quality of your living standard. These are all into quality. When I'm saying quality is in fact, you cannot measure in terms of number exactly. You have to measure those in a different way. That is what we're going to touch tonight little bit. And the quantity is about measuring some variables, something in numbers. Let me take an example here. This is a dancing concert. Okay, there are concerts we have gone through, we have seen, maybe in your school, maybe in a concert hall, maybe in an event. There are concerts like this, music concerts, dancing concerts, those kind of things, and even the Miss World concert, or otherwise Miss World competition. In fact, you have this kind of competitions. Now, in a dancing competition, the judges, they have to measure the quality of the dancers dancing, and they have to judge the number 1, number 2, number 3, and the remainings of them. So they have to measure certain things in terms of quality, in fact, okay? And if it is in Miss World, the same thing applies. You have to measure the quality of every Miss appears in the competition, and they have to select the number 1 Miss World and the runners-up and the third one and the others. So there are criterions these judges, they take into consideration to measure this quality of these competence in this Miss World competition. And on the other side, we have examples, a game, football game. In this football game, these referees, whoever they judge the game, they measure certain things in terms of, in fact, quantity. How many goals one side put into the opposite goalpost, and based on that, whoever they put the greater number of goals, they are the winners, the others are the losers. Same thing applies in cricket as well. Whoever they score more runs, and whoever they score the less run, comparatively, whoever they score the most runs or the excess run, greater run, they are the winners. These are the criterions these umpires they use. Now, when I'm saying this, I'm simply terming dancing concert, music concert, Miss World concert, or competition. They are all competitions in terms of quality in most of the cases. Okay, and I'm going to contradict with this statement in a while, by the way. And if you take these games, football, cricket, they are all quantity in nature. They measure the quantitative criterions and they judge. If you take a boxing concert or boxing competition, they consider the quality and sometimes quantity as well. How many punches, the way you punch, right? So it depends on the game you play. It depends on the problem you have. If a referee walk inside the ground to judge a match, his research problem is to judge the quantity of these two teams' goals, how many numbers of goals they score against each other. Based on that, they decide whether this side or that side, the winners. And if you take this dancing, the same thing applies that way. But do we consider this dancing concert is not alone qualitative? There are some quantitative stuffs involved in as well. This football is again not totally into quantity, it is involved with some quality as well. Let me explain that to you. If it is a dancing concert, the way you dance is what I'm calling quality. The timing you do, how long do you take to do this active dancing in the stage, it's about the quantity. Let's say if you do very active, very aggressive dancing for half an hour, you may be getting some point. And if you do that for 45 minutes, you may get some other different pointing for that, because maintaining the energy for 45 minutes is something connected to the quantity. I can measure that in terms of time. So there is quantity involved in as well. When I'm talking about Miss World, they look into so many qualitative part of it. Meantime, they measure the height and the weight of the Miss also. So in that case, it is into numbers. They measure the weight and the height. And there may be some other things as well we don't know, because we have never judged one. So these are the criterions. And if you take football, football is about the number of goals you put into the opposite goalpost. But on the other side, the fair play, we know the foul plays, the defensive plays, the offensive shots, offensive kicks. You can't lift your legs above your waist, and you can't knock some of the personnel down in an offensive way. You may get the red card or maybe the warning yellow card. There are things. These are all connected to the quality. Okay. So my point is, there are very rarely games or research problems that is attached to one area, quality or quantity. In most of the cases, it is about the mixture of both. There may be more into quality and less into quantity. I agree with that. And otherwise, other way around, it may be more into quantity and less into quality as well. But for practical issues, practical problems, we do researches, we do judgments based on quality for some reason and based on quantity for some other reason. That is what happens. Now, when I want to measure this in terms of quality, the question I always ask is this: why, how, what, who, when, where? These kind of questions are qualitative questions. They get some qualitative answers. If you ask, why did you come to the class today? Why didn't you come to the class last week? And why didn't you conduct the class last Sunday? The answer is not in numbers, it is in quality. Okay, so that is how it works. Now, when I'm calling it quantity, I always ask the question, how many? How many? How many goals? How many runs? How tall are you? How weight are you? That way. And how long did you dance? How long can you stay in the stage? This kind of thing. These are all coming in numbers, minutes, centimeters, kilograms, that way. So when you want to know some qualitative research problem, you always ask question in that way: why, how, what, who, where, those kind of thing. And if you want to solve a problem in terms of numbers, you ask the question, how many? And you should personally experience that if you have a research problem, you would ask a question, what do you want? Okay, that is about the quality. And how many do you want? That's about the quantity. You always have the mixture of these both. That is what I meant earlier. The research cannot happen in isolation with either of them. You should do the combination of both. That is when the research would be an ideal research, but it may be practically impossible. We'll have a look at it further to discuss it further. Now, look at this. I've said a statement here: not everything that counts cannot be counted. Okay, look at this. You can count how many kids are there. Okay, there are 5 kids. Okay, 5 kids. And how many of them are smiling? How many of them are happy? That is about the quality. The number of kids are what I'm calling quantity, and how many kids, that is the question. And how happy are they, or are they happy? The answer is about the quality, yes or no. How happy? When I'm calling it how happy, all these kids are looking happy. The question is, who is the most happiest here? And is she, kid A, is she happier than kid B? If I ask this kind of question, your answer may be this way or this way, because you never count this, you never get the information in terms of exact number. Okay, so all these 5 faces are smiling. That's absolutely fine. But how many of them are really smiling? We don't know. The smile doesn't mean only show your truth to the outsiders. It is not only the smile. Smiling is about, it has to come from your mind. Your mind has to be happy. Your heart has to be happy. There are things like that. So it is impossible to count. So not everything that counts can be counted. That is, yes. This is the issue of this qualitative research, and we'll see further. Let me take this example. This is the same example I always take for you guys to explain this research problem. Now, in this, I have taken blood sugar, that's the DV, the problem. And the influencing factors, we call it IV, independent variables, we call it exercise and the food. Now, when I'm calling it blood sugar is, I think it is more into quantity. You can measure the exact amount of blood sugar in your blood. So it is in numbers, right? Now, on the other side, the exercise we have, in fact, I would contradict with that statement as well. Now, you see, when you say number of sugar, they say 115 microgram sugar in your blood, something like that. I don't know the measuring scale there. 115, 120 is normal. If it is above, it is blood sugar, it is diabetic. So now I experienced that the quality of the sugar is different bag to bag, country to country. Now in Sri Lanka, if you take 1 spoon of sugar to put it in your tea, you have a feeling of sweetness. And the same 1 teaspoon or 1 spoon of sugar, if you take it in the UK, the taste is a little bit less sweeter. I don't understand why. It depends on the quality. I don't know which is the higher quality here, but it depends on the quality. It means though you take the same amount of sugar from 2 different factories, the taste of this sweetness differ based on the quality. So when I'm saying it your blood sugar, the same thing applies. When the glucometer says some number, that is just a number. We don't know the quality of it. Some of these people, they may have less sugar. It shows no diabetic, but however, the quality may be, the sweetness may be very high. So it may be risky. So my point is, blood sugar is measured in numbers, numeric, fine, but there are some quality issues as well. On the other side, when I'm taking exercise, when I'm calling it exercise is about the timing. How long do you walk? How long do you go for jogging? Today I went for jogging at about 7:30 on my by road, and then I walked for about 45 minutes. And if I walk alone, it has a quality. If I walk with someone else, it has a different quality. If I walk with my mom, it's different, it's slow. If I walk on my own, it has a different quality. I sweat a lot. I burn a lot of energy. In that case, the time is the same, but the quality is different. Okay. And when I'm calling the food is again the same issue. How much food do you eat and the quality of it, the calories of it, the fibrous condition of it, it is different. So food can be measured in terms of kilograms, grams, or whatever the weight of it. And on the other side, it can be measured in quality as well. So my point is finally on this, there are problems. It may be quantitative in nature, but there are quality issues on that. And the factors that influence the problem, it may be qualitative in nature, but there are quantitative issues, or otherwise other way around. So this is the complex of research. This is a little bit tricky, and we have to face all of this. Now, let me take a different example in here. Now, this is because I told you, when you have problems, it may be either in quantitative or it may be either in qualitative. Fine. Now, I further said, if you want to do research, sometimes you do this research in isolation of the other one. You do this research in totally qualitative, and you ignore the quantitative. And sometimes you do other way around. You do the quantitative totally and ignore the qualitative. But I said you don't have purely a qualitative problem or quantitative problem in most of the cases. So that if you want to do a qualitative research in nature in quantity, how do we do this? Because we do it. How do we do it? And I take the same example, which I took for a different reason last time. Look at this. I want to measure the earning of a personnel. Earning of a personnel. That's a problem. Is it depending on the knowledge he has? The knowledge he has, is it influencing his earning? If you know, yes, you can learn something and you can increase your earnings. If you say no, you don't need to worry about learning because your earning is not going to get any impact based on your increased learning. So we had to find it out. Now, when I'm saying it, earning is more into quantity, numbers, because earning is about salary, earning is about bonus, earning is about allowance. These are all measurable in numbers. So it is easy to measure in numbers. But does that mean earning is totally in numbers? The answer is no, because let me tell you a good example here. I am conducting this class with lots of difficulties and lots of commitments in here. And I'm not earning any penny from you guys. And I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it for some personal happiness. I'm so relaxed. When I do this, I'm so happy because I have given something to you for the rest of your life. You would remember when you do research in your life, you would at least remember me. You may pray for me. That is a happiness. That is the satisfaction. And that is the earning I'm talking about. So I earn some happiness when I transfer something which I know to someone which they don't know. So that is the earnings. So the earning is not totally limited to numbers. There are qualitative issues as well. Some people, when they work for organizations, they work much more than what they get paid in terms of numbered factors, in terms of salary, in terms of bonus, in terms of allowances and the rest of it. The reason is because they may be loving what they do. So that happiness is enough for them to do. They just get the salary or the earnings. Is a side effect. They don't do that for that reason. They do that because they're satisfied about what they do. So it has the quality factor as well, earning. And when I'm talking about knowledge is, in fact, I would say it is more into quality. That is not only into quantity. I would say quantitative knowledge is a little bit of contradictory here. It is not. It is more into quality. So knowledge is a qualitative factor more into, and earning is into quantitative factor. Though there are some quantitative and qualitative issues respectively connected to both. Now the problem is, how do we study this? Because we want to do this in terms of quantity. For example, if you want to do these studies in terms of quantity, how do we measure knowledge in quantity is the challenge. And that is what we discussed before as well. And let me go through that once again. Knowledge, if you want to measure the knowledge of a personnel, you can make a question paper. You have question number 1 and you have question number 2. We all have written exams for our A-levels, O-levels, and some other exams in our life. So we know what exams are about. Now, in these exams, they ask the question, explain the process of selling something. Explain the process of marketing something. It may be into a qualitative question. How do you market something? How do you do a sales? How do you close a deal? How do you open a wallet of a customer to get the money out from him to the company's account? These are all into your qualitative part. I asked the question how quality. Okay, so when I ask you how, you would write some answers for it. Maybe you write 5 pages, 25 pages, or several pages of answers on it. All these answers are mostly in terms of quality. But finally, when you get the result of your examiner, he gives you, out of 100, you have scored 55. You have scored 65. What is he doing? He is simply transforming your qualitative answer into a quantity. That is what he does. Okay, so in many cases, it may be unfair sometimes, because I propose a process of marketing and I propose a process of sales, whereas some others, they propose something else instead. And the marker may be marking your one and his one and my one, and he may be convinced with his one and he give more answer, more marks for him, more numbers, and for me, he may give me less number. In that case, I lose the job. or I lose the earnings and he earns more, or he get the job. In this case, it may be unfair. However, there's a way, if you really do it correct, you can measure this quality in numbers. Now, as we all know, your A-level exams, they measure your qualitative answers in quantity. If you write zoology, biology, or botany, the question is almost everything in quality, but you get the answer, the marks for that one in quantity. And it may be the different case if you do some mathematics, it may be different, because mathematics, it has the right answer and the wrong answer. And if you give the right answer, there's a marks, and if you give the wrong answer, there's a different way to process it. So mathematics may be a quantitative assessment, but science is not. Physics may be quantitative, but not the chemistry. It has lots of qualitative answers there as well. So some people, when they are disappointed in their A-level, they blame the system, they blame the measuring scale of this qualitative to quantitative. Sometimes I blame myself for my A-level. That is what I feel, that I lost it because of this. Okay, so there are contradictions, there are arguments, there are debates on that. However, if you want to do a research in this nature, we inevitably have to transfer this quality into a number, quantity. Okay, so I hope I have given you what is quality and what is quantity. And on the other side, your researchers are involved in both of these factors. However, it is possible for you to measure a qualitative thing in terms of number, so that you can do a quantitative research, though that is connected to quality. Okay, so that is what I have covered. Let's go to the next one and see what is it. Right, now some examples that we could understand the nature of them in terms of quality. When I say good, when I say bad, beautiful, ugly, useless, fascinating, boring, filthy, sparkling, pale, dark, soft, hard, tasty, wonderful, colorful, evil, angelic. These kind of things are qualitative in nature. Simply tell you some example. Useless. When I say useless, certain things that you throw to the street because you feel it's useless to you, and that is very, very useful for some others. There are people on the streets to pick those. And sometimes you go to a shop to buy a set of dress for you, and then you pick it because it is so beautiful, so attractive. And when you bring it home, a person at home, she would say, what is this? I don't like this, so ugly. So what is beautiful to you is not. But if you say the price of this dress is this, and nobody can say this is that way or this way, that is the price. They may say this price is more to the beauty of this, that is fine, because the quality and the quantity is getting interacted here. The price is this, and that is not worth it for this beauty. That may be yes. The price is this, this is much worth it for the beauty of this, that is yes. So this is the idea. And when I talk on this one here, the quantitative factors: hot, cold, long, short, fast, slow, large, small, many, few, heavy, light, near, far. These are all quantity in nature. When I say hot, we can use Fahrenheit or degrees Celsius. When I say cold, same measurement. When I say long, centimeters, meters, that way. When I say short, same thing. When I say fast, kilometer per hour, miles per hour, that way. Slow, same thing. Large means you can measure it in terms of centimeters, meters. Heavy, kilograms. Light, kilograms. Near, it's about centimeter or meter or kilograms. I'm sorry, kilometers or miles, that way. So these are all possible for you to measure this in terms of numbers. And there are so many. I just took some examples to explain what this is. Now, so I said we have factors, the problem factor or the influencing factor, the DV or the IV. In most of the cases, they are all connected to both of these natures, qualitative and the quantitative. But it is possible for you to do this research in one of those, measuring that in the form of the other. So it is possible. Now, further, I said a statement that if you can use the mixture of both, it may be an ideal research, because you would measure things in quantity, because that should be measured in numbers. And you should measure, or you're measuring things in quality, because that is a qualitative thing, and it measures in that nature. So that will be, again, a good one. Now, if you want, you can really use this a mixed thing. Let me explain what it is. When I say mono method is about the one you do using one of those. You either do a qualitative measuring, qualitative research, or the quantitative research. That is what the mono method is about. You use either qualitative or quantitative. When I'm saying mixed method is about, there are many factors. You might have 3 factors and one problem. You always have one problem to study at a time anyway. So let me take that one. Now here, the mixed method is this: you measure blood sugar in numbers, right? Numeric. And you measure exercise in numeric, and you measure food in non-numeric, quality, non-numeric. So it is mixture now. So you measure one factor in number, and you measure the other one in quality, non-numbers. That is what the mixture is about. Okay, mixed method, right? So this is what, so the mono means you measure all of these 3 factors in quantity or numbers, in terms of numbers. If it is a mixed one, you measure one of those or 2 of those in numbers, and the rest of it in numeric, non-numeric, non-numbers, quality. That is mixed. And what is multi? Multi is about you use both of them for each. Exercise, you measure them in numbers, and non-numbers, non-numeric, non-numbers, non-numeric as well. And likewise, you measure everything. All these factors are measured in terms of numbers and non-numbers as well. As I told, exercise, you can measure them in numbers. How long do you do the exercise? How far do you walk? This is number. And how fast do you walk? It is again number. And how much tired you get, how many calories you burn. These are all calories about the number. And how tired are you when you do your exercise? It is the quality. When I'm talking about the food, how many kilograms of rice you eat per day, that is number. And how quality the rice is, it is quality. And when the blood sugar is, again, the same thing, how much blood sugar in terms of number in your blood, and the quality of the sugar in your blood. Definitely there are differences. So if we use all of these factors using both methods, we call them multi. Okay, so a multi method would be ideal. Mixed is better. Mono is the easiest one to do. Now, further, as we said in the past, we do inductive researches to develop new theories, and we do deductive researches to test the existing theories. Now, in most of the cases of deductive researches, we use quantitative methods to confirm or verify theories, to test theories. Okay, quantity. On the other side, we use qualitative researchers to explore something or to generate something. So let me explain this to you using the example that we are all experiencing these days, the vaccine. To develop this vaccine to fight COVID, to develop this one from nothing 1 year ago, if you wanted to develop this vaccine, you should definitely do a qualitative research. Quantitative research is not going to help you in any term to develop that, to develop a new theory. If you add this kind of ingredients to this vaccine, this will develop the immunity in your body. To find that out, you have to do loads of qualitative researches on it, quality. But on the other side, now there's a theory. If you have this kind of cartridge, in this cartridge, if you have this kind of this combination of these ingredients in this vaccine, if you inject it first dose, second dose, and the third dose, you would react to this. You would develop immunity against this virus. If you want, there's a theory like this. Now, this theory has to be tested whether is it yes or not. In that case, you never want to do a qualitative research. You have to do a quantitative. Pick 100 people and take 100 vaccines, inject them, and see how they react to this. And out of 100, if 90% say react to this positively and 10% they fail, then you would say 90% of the people can be cured, can be developed with this immunity because it is tested, it is confirmed, it is verified with this. So we need only quantitative. Here, we don't need to do a qualitative. If we do that, it will take longer time because qualitative research analysis is too much of work, but it is too much of interesting if you really want to do this. I did all my 4 masters in qualitative research because I love it, because I actually wanted to do it. And if you want to pass it, go for a quantitative. If you want to learn it, go for a qualitative. Qualitative is the research, in fact, than the quantitative. But you don't need to do a qualitative research if you don't really want it. Quantitative would be enough. Because let's say you want to find out or you want to confirm a theory that or whether this vaccine would be the right vaccine or not. For that case, one of you could do qualitative, the other one could do a quantitative. The qualitative researcher would be getting the result, getting his testing confirmation of the theory in 3 days, 4 days time. Whereas the qualitative researcher, he would go and come back after 6 months with the result. And if you compare these 2 results, the results would be most of the cases the same. Because there is already developed theory, and then you do lots of unwanted things, and you finally find out something. And that may be easy for a quantitative researcher to finish his research within 2 or 3 days' time. So we don't need to do a qualitative research unnecessarily if we can do a qualitative research. And I'm in fact talking on this one in plain language. I'm not specifically saying what research that fits for this research problem and what fits for the other. I'm not, because I can't take any examples. This is where you actually need a supervisor. When you do your master's or PhD or degree, you would be appointed with a supervisor. That supervisor would advise you the exact method you wanted to do, either qualitative or quantitative, mixed or multi, based on the research problem you propose to study. So then he would specifically say, you should do this. I'm just taking examples here and there to explain the process. That's all I can do. But if anyone have a question on this, to do a study on a particular topic, we can discuss that specifically anyway. So, right. Now, the quantitative methods are more structured and the qualitative is more open. Let me explain that to you as well, but there are other topics coming behind that we'll discuss this in detail. Now, when I say quantitative, if you want to test whether this vaccine is the right one, it is a simple, straightforward, pick 100 people, take 100 cartridge of vaccine, inject and see. Very straightforward and very structured. Anybody can do this. You don't need to have a doctor. You don't need to have a researcher here. You just give that to some nurse. She will do that and she would give you the data later and you finalize your research. But if it's a qualitative one, you have to be with them. You have to do lots of open-ended questions. Ask so many questions. How do you feel? What is the pain of this? Can you lift your arms? Are you okay? Do you feel sleepy? What is the temperature? So much of things you have to do. Right? So that is why it is unstructured and it's open in nature. That is what the qualitative is about. Okay, so we'll be learning it in detail later in a different topic. So I think that is it from me tonight to discuss on this, the methods of the research, qualitative and the quantitative. And we don't know exactly what research problem you have in your mind. It may be in your university, bachelor's, master's, or PhD, or it may be in your personal life. You may have a question in your mind to study. And based on that, you may have to decide whether to go for a qualitative or a quantitative. Let me take one example and complete this. Let's say you might have, might of you might have married, or might of you might have some relationship with some other partners. And you may have to study how powerful, how strong this bondage, this relationship is. And the strength of this relationship. What are the factors that influence this? There are so many factors. Maybe the money that improve the relationship. Maybe the kindness, the love you have may improve the relationship. Maybe the number of kids you have. Maybe the living standard you have. Maybe the job you have. Maybe the qualification you have. There are so many factors we can discuss. So if you have some good relationship, study why it is good so that you can improve that even further. If you have some issues in your relationship, study again why this is sowing, why this is this troublesome, why this is getting worse day by day, and how can I solve this? This is a research problem. The research is not limited to your business course, your university. That is in your doorstep. Every single day morning when you wake up, you have a problem. When you, every single night when you go to bed, you go with a problem. Okay, so learn how you can handle this, and we can solve it easily. And that is it from me tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. And I hope to take the next class as well next Sunday. And I'll inform you on time. And be safe, stay home. That is so dangerous these days. So you are responsible for you and for your family. Be safe and have a good night. See you again. Thank you very much.